In a world obsessed with branding, with personal narratives and curated ambition, there exists a dangerous misconception that success must be seen to be respected, that victories must be loudly declared to be believed, that power must wear a name tag and pose for the camera. But Machiavelli would have warned us that the moment your success becomes obvious, it becomes vulnerable. That the most formidable power is not the one celebrated in headlines, but the one that moves unnoticed, unassumed, undetected until its work is done. True success, Machiavelli understood, should arrive like a shadow, subtle, silent, and complete. The vulgar crowd, he wrote, is always taken by appearances, appear too calculating, too intentional, and you invite fear and resistance. Appear accidental, and you invite curiosity, even admiration. But more importantly, you reduce the chances of opposition. You cloak your ambitions beneath the comfort of coincidence. You succeed, but you never announce yourself as one who intended to. The modern mind recoils at this. We live in an era of resumes, portfolios, personal brands. We are trained from adolescence to present our ambitions, package our intentions, and post every step of our climb. But Machiavelli would see this as a liability, not a virtue. Every declaration is a commitment. Every post is a roadmap. And every roadmap is a map your enemies can follow. The wise man, he would say, arrives without warning. His rise looks like fate, his triumph like a twist of fortune. But it was neither. It was design. When people believe your success was an accident, they feel safe. They feel no need to interfere, no need to resist. And in that misjudgment, you gain time, you gain space, and you gain freedom. Machiavelli's prince does not announce his path. He does not signal his intentions. He does not seek applause along the way. He arrives, already enthroned, with no room left for resistance, because power that surprises is power that cannot be stopped. Consider the implications of this principle. When your rise looks unplanned, it avoids triggering envy. When it looks effortless, it disarms criticism. And when it looks accidental, it obscures the labor that made it possible. And what is obscured cannot be attacked. This is not dishonesty. It is defense. It is strategic concealment. The same way a fortress conceals its weakest points behind high walls, you must conceal your striving behind a face of nonchalance. There is a reason the fox survives where the lion dies. Not because it is stronger, but because it does not provoke until it is too late. Appear lucky, appear passive, appear to stumble into advantage, and by the time others realize your moves were intentional, your position is already secured, your influence already woven into the fabric of the game. This principle applies across all domains. In business, the entrepreneur who builds quietly, makes decisions without announcing them, and expands without fanfare, faces far less sabotage than the one who proclaims their domination before they've begun. In politics, the figure who gains ground quietly is harder to oppose than the one who charges forward with banners raised. In relationships, the one who improves in silence creates curiosity, not defensiveness. There is less resistance to someone becoming better when it seems as though they were always this way. Machiavelli knew that the crowd does not fear what it does not perceive, and it does not resist what it does not suspect. Let your enemies look in the wrong direction. Let your friends believe your success is incidental. Let the world think you are merely fortunate, but you must never believe it yourself. The accident must be rehearsed. The coincidence must be constructed. The illusion of ease must be forged through immense hidden effort. This is the paradox of strategic humility, that the more you want to control outcomes, the less you must appear to control them. The more deliberate your rise, the more accidental it must appear, because nothing alarms the powerful more than visible intention, and nothing disarms them more than invisible mastery. This is why so many powerful players prefer to operate from the shadows. The quiet investor behind the scenes, the advisor who never appears on stage, the strategist whose fingerprints are everywhere, yet whose name is never mentioned. They win because they understand that visibility is vulnerability, that power exposed is power limited. Machiavelli warned that those who rise too quickly attract enemies, and those who speak too loudly invite opposition. The wise man, he wrote, imitates both the lion and the fox, the lion for force, the fox for deception. But there is a third trait, invisibility. The one who strikes from nowhere cannot be predicted. The one who grows without notice cannot be stopped. So while others seek attention, seek to be seen, seek to be known, train yourself to seek invisibility. Let your success arrive like a whisper. Let it be misunderstood as chance. Let it be called luck, because luck cannot be punished. And design, when mistaken for fortune, passes through the world untouched. You must ask yourself, why do I need them to know I'm winning? What does their awareness give me? What does it cost me? Every nod of recognition is a chain, every ounce of applause is a tether, and every audience you gather becomes a crowd you must now perform for. Silence frees you, ambiguity protects you, and the illusion of effortlessness creates space to act without constraint. They will say you got lucky. Let them. They will say you didn't plan this. Smile. They will underestimate you. Let them walk into that trap. Because every time they think it was luck, they give you something more valuable than praise. They give you time. They give you freedom. They give you peace. This is the first rule of invisible power. Cultivate the myth of the accident. Let others see only what was convenient to show. Let your true movements remain unspoken. And when the world finally sees what you've become, let them marvel not at how you fought, but how you appeared to glide. They say success leaves clues, but Machiavelli would remind us, it also leaves footprints, and footprints can be followed. If you wish to rise without resistance, you must rise without leaving a trail. Every sign of design is a sign of intent, and every sign of intent invites opposition. The more they know how you win, the sooner they'll scheme to stop you. But if they cannot see your method, they cannot mount their defense. They will look where you aren't. They will prepare for a storm while you arrive as smoke. To make your success look like an accident, you must understand the psychology of misdirection. The human mind trusts what feels unthreatening, admires what seems unintentional, and underestimates what appears chaotic. This instinct can be weaponized. Cloak your skill behind spontaneity. Hide your preparation behind timing. Let them believe you stumbled upon advantage, not sculpted it with quiet precision. That is how you walk through the gate while the guards are still laughing. This is not merely a tactic of the cunning, it is a survival strategy for the ambitious. The world resents overt success unless it has been begged for, performed for, suffered for, in public view. And even then, admiration is mixed with envy. But when your climb seems casual, your moves seem minor, your wins seem circumstantial, you avoid the spotlight and its sharpened knives. Consider the entrepreneur who acts as though he merely followed a hobby, the writer who says she just jotted down her thoughts, the investor who claims luck more than logic. These are not humble confessions, they are calculated shields. For every admission of luck, there are 10 steps hidden. For every mention of coincidence, there is a system buried in silence. You must learn to play this role. Understate your goals, over-deliver in silence. Let your demeanor contradict your results. Smile like you don't know how it happened, while inside you keep the blueprint. This creates not only confusion in your rivals, but attraction in your allies. People love proximity to effortless greatness, but they fear and resist plotted domination. You must be the former in their eyes, even if you are the latter in reality. This illusion of the accidental gives you another tool, deniability. When success is visible but intent is not, you become difficult to pin down. You cannot be accused of strategy when there's no proof you had one. You cannot be blamed for consequence when you never declared your aim. You become untouchable, not by hiding your results, but by masking the road that led to them. Even in defeat, this posture helps you. When you fail without having promised, you remain undamaged. When others see you as casual, your setbacks seem irrelevant. But when you brand yourself as a mastermind and fall short, they celebrate your collapse. Public ambition invites public judgment. Private precision avoids both. This extends beyond strategy. It affects how you speak, how you carry yourself, how you engage. The man who plans in silence is not only less attacked, he is more adaptable. Because no one expects anything specific from him, he can shift without consequence. He can pivot without penalty. He has not imprisoned himself in an image. Machiavelli understood this deeply. Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are, he wrote. This isn't cynicism, it's clarity. It means you can use perception as a cloak. You can present what is useful and preserve what is vital. Appear lighthearted, appear indecisive, appear uninvolved. Beneath that appearance, construct something no one can touch. Remember, visibility is a tax. Every eye on you is a weight. Every opinion you invite is a limit. And every expectation you create is a chain you'll have to carry. But when they don't see you coming, you can move with total freedom. That's the gift of obscurity. That's the prize of seeming unthreatening. But this path isn't for the ego-driven. It's not for those who crave applause. If you need credit, you will be vulnerable. If you demand recognition, you will be exposed. And once exposed, your enemies will know where to strike. Machiavelli would call this the flaw of vanity, placing image above advantage. He would remind you that the truest power is the one that appears unnecessary. The strongest weapon is the one never drawn until it is too late. If you cannot detach from the need to be seen, then you must be prepared to be struck. But if you can master restraint, if you can let go of the urge to explain, to impress, to declare, then you will be able to move through rooms, through deals, through relationships with a kind of stealth the noisy never know. Your actions will speak while your voice remains silent. Your results will appear while your plans remain hidden. This is the discipline of the fox, to never chase the hunt with a trumpet, to win in silence, to rise while appearing still. It will be tempting to explain yourself, to show the effort, to narrate your journey, to win validation. Resist this. Silence isn't emptiness, it is leverage. When others guess at your motives, they reveal their own. When they question your path, they expose their fears. And when they underestimate you, they give you power they would have otherwise withheld. The greatest kings are rarely crowned in public. They rise in the shadows, build in silence, and emerge only when they can no longer be challenged. Their success looks inevitable, but never intentional, and that illusion, that false sense of fate, is their shield. So let your peers clamor for praise. Let them post every step, let them explain every move. You, in contrast, must practice the art of the unannounced. Make them think you just showed up and won. There comes a point in every ascent where silence becomes your only ally. Not because you have nothing to say, but because everything you say gives something away. In this phase, your movements must become even more understated. Not slower, not weaker, just quieter. This is the season where you build the palace underground, brick by brick, while the world above still thinks you're just pacing in circles. Machiavelli warned that there is no avoiding war, it can only be postponed to the advantage of others. The same applies to perception. You can delay being perceived as powerful, but eventually the world will notice. Your job is to postpone that moment until your position is unassailable, until by the time they notice, it's already too late. Most people fail here. Just before the climax, they crave recognition. They want to be seen as becoming something. They leak the blueprint. They offer glimpses, they drop hints, but these previews invite scrutiny, and scrutiny invites sabotage. You cannot feed the crowd's curiosity without feeding its judgment. They will question your legitimacy, challenge your timing, slow your progress with opinions you never needed. The Machiavellian operator remains opaque until arrival, not mysterious for mystery's sake, but unreadable by necessity. If they can't see your cards, they can't block your play. If they can't track your steps, they can't cut off your path. The illusion of randomness remains your disguise. Even when everything is calculated, it must appear casual, especially then. Now we enter the domain of tactical humility. Not real humility, tactical, strategic smallness. You understate your capabilities, you overcredit others, you create the appearance that you are following, even when you're quietly leading. You become the advisor, not the threat, the support, not the rival. You soften your presence like smoke in a room, never still, never cornered, always overlooked. This confuses the hierarchy. It bends perception. People begin to trust you more because they do not feel endangered. They reveal things, they empower you, they let you into rooms because you don't ask for the spotlight. And once you're in, you build, not loudly, not with banners, but with presence. Quietly, you earn loyalty. Quietly, you learn the terrain. Quietly, you position yourself until the spotlight would now feel empty without you. Here, the danger shifts. Now it's not envy from strangers, it's surveillance from peers. You must deflect this by diffusing attention, share wins, highlight luck, credit chance, smile at praise, and walk away before it grows. The longer you stay in any beam of light, the more it blinds you to threats in the shadows. Machiavelli noted that men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. You must use neither, yet invite both in others. Your modesty disarms love. Your silence inspires fear, not the fear of violence, but of misjudging you, the fear of underestimating what they cannot read. And that is the purest form of influence, the fear that you might be greater than they assumed. To maintain this power, you must resist the urge to match energy. Let others celebrate loudly. Let them broadcast their every win. Let them appear bold and brilliant. You remain still. Let the silence exaggerate you. Let their noise contrast your calm. Let them tire themselves with exposure, while you conserve strength in the invisible. This isn't passivity, it's power held tightly. A drawn bow, not yet loosed. A storm behind glass. The moment you speak too soon, you release leverage. The moment you explain your next step, you've already given half of it away. The moment you prove yourself, you've lowered your price. You must become so disciplined in restraint that even your victories feel incidental. There's a kind of mystique that only silence can create. The mind, when denied certainty, begins to invent. They will create legends about your process, assumptions about your influence, stories about your methods, and all of them will give you more power than truth ever could. You only need to confirm none of them and deny none of them. Let them circle in doubt. The silent builder becomes the mythic figure. The moment you confirm too much, you become real, and the real is always smaller than the imagined. Your power exists in that distance, in the gap between what they know and what they suspect. Keep that gap alive. Even among allies, hold back. People love to borrow brilliance. They will use your ideas and call them conversations. They will wear your strategies as if they stitched them. If you must advise, do so in riddles. If you must lead, do so invisibly. And if you must show strength, make it feel accidental. The master never teaches everything. Machiavelli understood that too. A prince never lacks legitimate reasons to break his promise. This was not cruelty, it was practicality. The more you reveal, the more promises you unintentionally make. The more you declare, the more you are bound. Every sentence becomes a future expectation, and every expectation is a future trap. Better to let the world misjudge your pace. Let them think you're slower than you are. Let them believe you're distracted. Let them write you off. That is the greatest gift they can give you, their dismissal, their disbelief, their premature celebration. Because while they relax, you build. While they mock, you move. While they wait for proof, you pass them by. Let your success be the interruption to their assumptions. Let your victory be the moment they realize you were never behind. Let your arrival be the end of their preparation. This is not arrogance, it's asymmetry. You win by never playing the same game. You walk a different path in silence beneath their noise. You don't just rise, you vanish from their radar until you reappear on the summit. To the outsider, your silence looks passive, but to the strategist, it is tension, it is loaded, it is intentional pressure that builds, unseen, until it becomes undeniable. The Machiavellian path demands you hold your silence not as absence, but as a weapon, sharp, hidden, and always within reach. You are not avoiding speech, you are stockpiling influence. Because every moment you do not speak is a moment they must wonder, and uncertainty is the first seed of power. We are conditioned to explain ourselves, to reassure, to confirm, but those instincts belong to the weak. The prince who must explain his every move, justify his every change, reassure every fearful subject he is already ruled, not ruling. Machiavelli taught that appearances rule the world, but he never said those appearances must be noisy. On the contrary, the appearance of confidence grows stronger when unaccompanied by explanation. A silent decision appears final. A quiet action appears inevitable. There is a moment in every rise when the world begins to suspect you. They notice the patterns, the subtle moves, the elevated results, and they start to ask how. That is the moment most falter. They break character. They feel the urge to confirm the suspicion, to accept the praise, to step into the spotlight they once avoided. But that spotlight is a trap. It warms you before it burns you. And once you're in it, you're exposed. Your flaws, your methods, your limitations. The mystique is gone. Hold the line. Let them wonder. The more questions they ask, the more power you have. Because as long as the answers are absent, they must fill in the blanks. Some will think you're brilliant. Others will believe you're lucky. Let them debate. That debate is your shield. As long as they argue about your nature, they cannot agree on how to counter you. And in their confusion, you advance further. This is why the concept of effortless success must be mastered, not merely performed, but embedded. Your demeanor must always suggest ease. Never let them see the weight you carry. Never let them hear the hours you put in. Let the scars be invisible. Let the struggle be private. Because nothing destroys intimidation faster than visible strain. You must practice emotional discipline. Do not react when provoked. Do not flinch when questioned. Do not gloat when praised. Your silence must be so complete, it becomes unreadable. And in that unreadability, you are elevated. You become something more than a man. You become a variable, an unknown. And the unknown is always feared more than the familiar. People chase transparency, but power hides. Power cloaks itself. Power does not explain. It declares. It does not beg. It moves. And when it moves in silence, it creates tremors. Not through noise, but through presence. You must become the presence that unsettles a room. The presence that causes others to measure their words. The presence that shifts the energy, not through volume, but through quiet certainty. Machiavelli advised rulers to simulate virtue without always practicing it. Today, that simulation must be applied to effort. Let them believe it was fate, that you arrived not by planning, but by providence, not by dominance, but by coincidence. because providence cannot be rivaled, coincidence cannot be challenged. What looks accidental rarely draws fire. Your energy must reflect patience, not desperation, stillness, not hunger, precision, not frenzy. Even when you're accelerating, appear composed. Even when you're struggling, appear stable. You are a storm beneath glass, and the glass never cracks. This illusion must be extended into your victories. When you win, win small in public, celebrate nothing, reflect nothing, let them call it a fluke. Let them say, he just got lucky. Each time they believe it was chance, your next move becomes easier. Each time they explain it away, they lower their guard. And while they celebrate your randomness, you're writing the next page in ink they'll never see. This disarms not just your enemies but your peers. It protects you from envy. Because no one envies the lucky, no one targets the passive. They only attack the visible, the brash, the certain. Stay beneath that radar. Do not trigger their defenses. Let your existence be agreeable, but your results be shocking. Smile while you subvert. Agree while you ascend. Play along, then surpass. And as your position becomes undeniable, resist the urge to define it. Let others describe your empire. You do not need to validate it. Let the evidence be your proof. Let your absence from the narrative make the story more compelling, because the less you appear to need power, the more power gravitates toward you. This is how kings are born in silence. This is how legacies are written in shadows. You do not need credit. Credit is a tax. You do not need applause. Applause fades. You need position. You need placement. You need control without ownership, influence without title, respect without demand. And all of that can be acquired if you are willing to let them think you didn't try. Machiavelli understood that fear is more reliable than love, but there's something even more durable than fear: confusion. When people do not know whether to fear or admire you, whether to support or oppose you, whether you are lucky or lethal, they freeze. And in that freeze, you pass them. So let them freeze. Let them misjudge. Let them call it a coincidence, a stroke of fortune, a series of unrelated events. You will know it was design. You will know it was planned. You will know that every missed post, every unanswered question, every quiet moment was a move, precise, cold, effective. And when the pattern becomes too obvious to ignore, it will be too late for them to stop you. The moment they realize it was never luck is the moment you've already won. By then, their confusion has calcified into paralysis. Their mockery has turned to obsession. Their doubt, now regret. And still, you say nothing. Because even now, with victory in reach, the Machiavellian mind knows that speech is a liability. It invites challenges. It opens doors to questions. It makes power something others think they can understand, replicate, take, and so you remain silent. Power that appears simple becomes a blueprint. Power that appears accidental becomes a myth. Be the myth. In this phase, your actions speak more than ever, but they must still whisper. Let the results stack without a narrative. Let the wins accumulate without announcement. Success, when explained, loses weight. It shrinks into language. But success that arrives unannounced expands into legend. No one can track what they can't define. There will be pressure to now step forward, to claim the throne, to name your success, to guide others. Be careful. Kings who rise from mystery are revered. Kings who become accessible are dethroned by familiarity. Once they understand you, they measure you. Once they measure you, they find your limits. But if you remain undefined, you stay above reach. The moment you're fully known, you're fully vulnerable. Machiavelli saw this unfold again and again. Powerful rulers who craved acceptance, who opened the gates too wide, who traded mystery for admiration, and in doing so, diluted their aura. The prince must be feared. Yes, but it is better to be respected in silence than loved in explanation. Respect survives scrutiny. Love does not. Now you must master your environment. Choose when to appear. Choose what to reveal. Master selective presence. Your visibility must be a tool, not a default. If you're always seen, you become background. But if you're rarely seen, and only in moments that matter, you become eventful. You become memory. People remember what punctures silence, not what fills it. This is where most ruin everything. They think the hard part is building, but the hardest part is protecting, maintaining the illusion, preserving the asymmetry, guarding the space between perception and truth. You can be the architect of your empire and still lose it by narrating how you built it. That's the price of overexposure. When your name becomes frequent, it becomes normal, and what is normal cannot be feared. What is normal cannot command. The more familiar your story, the less power it holds. Keep them guessing. Keep them wondering how you move. Keep them unsure of your intentions. That uncertainty slows them. That hesitation is your opening. Even when you speak, Speak in riddles, speak in images. Let your words point in 3 directions. Never be fully pinned. Every answer should contain a question. Every appearance should suggest absence. Every move should imply 5 others not yet seen. That's how you stay in control, even while appearing passive. The Machiavellian practitioner must, at this point, transition from builder to symbol, not a man who simply operates, but a presence that defines the space. You are no longer in the room, you are the room. Your silence becomes atmospheric. Your presence reshapes conversations. You don't need to direct people anymore. Your stillness does it for you. Symbols are powerful because they do not argue, they do not explain, they simply exist. And existence itself becomes influence. Your job now is to cultivate that kind of presence. It is not about dominance, it is about inevitability. Make your position so firm, your silence so composed, that your ascent appears as something that could not have been prevented. At this level, enemies will appear, not because you've wronged them, but because they need to justify their own failures. Your silence, your grace, your wins, it will provoke them. Let it. Do not respond, do not correct, do not enter the ring. Their noise only amplifies your myth. Their attacks only make you seem more untouchable, because the one who is spoken of constantly, but who rarely speaks, becomes folklore, and folklore is more powerful than proof. Let them talk, let them guess, let them assign motives, theories, conspiracies. Every one of them is an admission that they do not know, and what people cannot know, they cannot conquer. You must now become less human in their eyes, not cold, but untouchable, not cruel, but distant. You offer warmth, but only when useful. You reward loyalty, but only when earned. You show mercy, but never weakness. You remain gracious, but not familiar. Let your boundaries become sacred. Let your silence become sanctuary. You are not playing the same game anymore. The goal now is not more applause. The goal is permanence, and permanence requires mystique. If they can explain you, they can replace you. So remain beyond language, beyond genre, beyond trend. Machiavelli wrote, "The promise given was a necessity of the past. The word broken is a necessity of the present." Do not make promises now. Do not bind yourself to anyone's expectations. Do not paint yourself into corners. Stay undefined. Stay fluid. The more they try to corner you, the more you disappear through the cracks. Your power must now be scaled, not shown. Widen your reach without widening your image. Expand in effect, not expression. Be known through outcomes, not explanations. Be seen through shifts in the environment, not through declarations. Be felt, not followed. Because in the end, the most dangerous man in the room is not the one yelling for attention, but the one who doesn't need it. The one who wins, then disappears. The one whose fingerprints are everywhere, but whose shadow never rests in one place. The one who lets others write the history, knowing he is the reason it exists. You must become that man. You have built in silence. You have risen without notice. You have protected your momentum through mystery, restrained your speech, and weaponized ambiguity. And now, at the height of your power, the final discipline must begin, the art of vanishing while remaining present, not retreating, not hiding, but mastering the space between visibility and absence so completely that your influence lingers even when your name is not mentioned. Machiavelli would remind us, a prince must never become too familiar. Influence is not sustained through constant contact, it is preserved through strategic withdrawal. Leave before they grow used to your presence. Speak before they expect your words. Disappear before they can predict your pattern. That unpredictability, that dissonance, is what keeps your image intact. Mystery deteriorates under routine. The most powerful legacy is the one that seems to echo through walls no one saw you build. Let others build monuments. Let others declare lineage. You build something deeper, something cultural, something that cannot be removed because it is not centralized. It is ambient. It is systemic. You become not a man but a principle, a ghost in their strategy, a silhouette in their planning, the blueprint behind their movements, though they may never say your name. This is how true Machiavellian dominance is achieved, not by conquering the world with banners and proclamations, but by infiltrating it with silence and necessity. You are not optional, you are not decorative, you are vital, but never loud. You are everywhere and nowhere specific. They seek you for advice, but they do not know your rules. They invoke your name, but only in shadows. You've become too useful to be removed, too elusive to be blamed, too essential to be denied. This is the domain of sovereign presence, when your absence creates gravity, when people make decisions with you in mind, though you are not in the room, when they pause, instinctively, to imagine what you would do, when your silence becomes their signal. That is the final illusion, the effortless rule. Others campaign, others plead, others need a platform, an audience, a vote. You require none. because by the time your influence is needed, it has already been accepted. You did not demand the crown. They handed it to you so they could stabilize their chaos, and they will protect your myth because it gives them order. Let them think you drifted into power, that you stumbled into position, that you never really tried. Let them romanticize your rise as fate, that fantasy is better than truth, because truth, once understood, is vulnerable, but fantasy is untouchable, and those who seem chosen are harder to replace than those who seem skilled. Do not betray the myth. When asked how you succeeded, answer with riddles. When praised, deflect. When doubted, remain still. You've already proven everything by not having to prove anything at all. Even now, you must continue to disarm, remain the accidental master. When the crowd erupts with speculation, say little. Let them argue, let them divide, let them defend you without your request. That is loyalty forged not in conversation, but in calculated absence. Machiavelli never told rulers to be cruel. He told them to be feared when necessary and quiet when possible. Fear grows best in silence. Reverence too. Power fades with overexposure, with explanation, with repetition. That is why you must become the rare occurrence, the unpredictable variable, the one who is seen only in moments that matter most. Your words should arrive like thunder, not constant, but unmistakable. Eventually, they will forget how it all began. They will only remember that you were always there, that you seemed to win without trying, that your name was whispered long before it was spoken aloud, and that you moved before they knew movement was needed. You will never be celebrated the way the loud are, but the loud are temporary. The accidental titan, he endures, because he gave them nothing to attack, nothing to unravel, nothing to envy, only results. And so, as others talk, you will watch. As they debate, you will decide. As they posture, you will plan. And when they finally act, you will already be gone onto the next field, the next room, the next influence. This is not retreat. This is the final move to become untraceable. And when the history is written, you will not be the loudest voice. You will not be the clearest face. You will not be the name etched in gold. But you will be the reason it all worked. The invisible center, the silent architect, the prince who ruled without declaring and conquered without being seen. They will say it was an accident, and you will know it was always the plan. If you've made it this far, it's not by accident. A part of you already knows the truth. A part of you already understands that the need to be understood is the first chain to break. You are not here to be explained. You are not here to be approved. You are here to rise, quietly, strategically, and without apology. Now tell me in the comments, are you ready to let go of the spotlight? Are you ready to let your success speak louder than your voice ever could? Are you ready to walk the path where silence becomes your armor? If this message struck something in you, if it reminded you of what you're truly capable of, write this in the comments. I choose power over praise. Let's see how many of you are ready for that level of control. And don't stop now. The next video matters more than you realize. Watch it, reflect, move different. I'll meet you there.